button, man.
Well, good morning, everybody. It is, my name's Clay.
I'm Lloyd.
And we are the absentee iron sharpening iron with the Kahler boys.
Yeah.
I had a flare up last week and I had no voice. It would have been a solo project if we'd have tried to do it. I'd just sit here and watch you talk and squeak every now and again.
Yeah. Bark when you agreed or disagreed. Thump.
Yeah.
We'll have a knock system going.
But I'm on the mend.
Praise God.
Yeah. And so I don't believe that we're going to have, Lord willing, any more interruptions. I think we'll get back on track the way we should be.
Yes.
So you want to do scripture today?
Go right ahead.
All right.
What do you got? You said you was going to, you kind of alluding to, this is Christmas time. This is
we're 4 days away.
Podcast before Christmas. So this will be our Christmas podcast, I reckon.
Right. Well, yeah.
And then the next one will be our New Year's podcast.
Yeah.
Talk about, our exciting New Year's plans. And mine I'm going to work. But if I wasn't going to work, I'd be in bed probably by about 9.
Right.
9:15. Good to sleep. But
you wouldn't be out dodging drunks?
Oh boy.
That's a fun game sometimes.
Let's get with the scripture. I got a little funny drunk story from last night dodging them.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Well, we're in Luke chapter 2, and this is a well-worn, beautiful Christmas story. It's about these shepherds. Starting in verse 8, it says, "Now there were in the same country shepherds living out in the fields, keeping watch over their flocks by night, and behold, an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them." You almost think of Linus when you hear this being read, don't you, from Charlie Brown? "And they were greatly afraid. Then the angel said to them, 'Do not be afraid, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which will be to all people. For there is born to you this day in the city of David a Savior, who is Christ the Lord. And this will be a sign to you. You will find a babe wrapped in swaddling cloths, laying in a manger.' And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of heavenly hosts, praising God and saying, 'Glory to God in the highest, on earth peace, goodwill towards men.'" I just love that passage.
I do too.
Matter of fact, I preached on that passage on Sunday. And following. I did the whole thing.
I do too. I just love that passage. You're right. You think about Linus. You know what else I think about when you're reading that? Is I think about every time an angel shows up,
they got to be afraid.
Yeah. They got to tell him, dude, quit freaking out. And nowadays, yo, man, calm down.
Cool your jets. It's all right.
I'm just an angel. Or what would they say? I mean, I know it says, do not be afraid.
Yeah.
Would they say, I'm just an angel? Because to us, it'd be, but to them, because we're just two men.
Well, and you see,
I'm just a man. If somebody was like, "Oh, dude, I can't believe you did it, dude, I'm just a man."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Our concept of ourselves.
Right.
What would their concepts of themselves be? I don't know.
But there's a number of places in Scripture that give you a good demonstration of why this angel has to say, "Do not be afraid."
Well, yeah, because they're like 92 foot tall and swords and whatnot. I mean, that's an unbelievable presence, and literally, unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, if one manifested itself right here, we would both be freaking out.
Well, and then the other thing about this, and something that I pointed out on Sunday, is you have this angel, an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them. Now, what's interesting about that, you think about it. Since the Exodus, when God presented himself as a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night, and the Shekinah glory of God surrounded the children of Israel, this hasn't been seen since then. Which tells you how big of an event this is.
And then a whole host.
A whole host.
Good Lord. I mean,
anytime you see the word host in Scripture, it means innumerable.
My imagination just goes wild that
the sky is just alight.
Not just the sky.
Yeah.
Just like as far as you can see sand.
Yeah.
As far as you can see, stand there, look at ocean. It just all blends into one. I mean, would be. What an event.
And this encounter had a heck of an impact on these shepherds, because there's only one thing a shepherd will never do, and that's abandon their flock.
Right.
But as soon as this was over, they said, we have to go see this thing.
Oh yeah.
They walked away from their sheep.
That'd be what an event though.
Yeah.
What oh man, I just can't even imagine.
Well, and think about this 14, 15, 16-year-old girl named Mary who's in her bedchamber and an angel appears.
Yeah.
You know? And then Joseph had the same thing happen. This was a big deal. This was the culmination of every prophecy and promise of the Old Testament leading up to the coming of the Messiah.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
That's pretty big.
So that's our scripture for the day. And by the way, before anyone else, before we get any further, I just want to say Merry Christmas to everybody out there.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
I pray that you guys find yourself just absolutely blessed in this Christmas season. And I'm not even talking about gifts under the tree. I'm talking about, I pray that just a relationship with Jesus Christ blesses your socks off.
And if you can, take the time to bless somebody. And you know, it doesn't have to be. I don't have to bless you with money.
Right.
You just never know. In our age of social media, for one, a comment,
a smile.
Well, in a person, a smile.
Yeah.
But just take that time. It don't cost nothing to be kind.
True enough.
It doesn't cost nothing at all to be kind. But if you can, bless some family, bless somebody. I don't know.
By the way, Sue, I hope you noticed that when I went to cough, I turned the other way. Sue fussed at me
because you was in that
coughing right in that microphone last time we were together. Not intentionally.
Sorry, Sue.
Good news is I don't have that big. Deep
man, I know.
Right now.
Not like I was looking for lung to pop out. You know, that was pretty.
I didn't get shot with a 9mm.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So there's some things going on in the news that I think we need to talk about, and I want to say this now.
I have a question though. I've got something on my mind.
All right,
it's got nothing to do with the news.
All right,
it's got things that make you go, you know what I do for a living,
right?
And I have a lot of free time when there's nobody else in the parking lot. I'm just kind of drive around, check doors, look around, and I do a lot of sitting.
Yeah,
and I watch a lot of videos. Let me read this so I don't get this wrong. But it's things that make you go, Okay. There is a high dollar vanilla extract.
Okay.
That you can buy, and it's very expensive. And it comes from the anal gland of a North American beaver.
That's not vanilla.
I want to know something. Who
was the first?
Who said?
I want to lick that beaver's butt.
Yeah. Squeeze that. Let me get a taste. Hey, that's kind of vanilla.
Well, have you seen the coffee that they distill from the beans that get crapped out by a cat?
Yeah. But who?
Who's following a cat around picking the beans out of their poop going, this is going to be a good cup of joe?
I could almost understand that if maybe like, I don't know, you knew that they were eating all your beans. You're like, I'm going to get these beans back. And you're like, I don't know. Or maybe you did it for a joke to prank your buddy. Because, I'm going to make my buddy, he's stealing my coffee all the time. He always comes over here when I got a full pot and leaves when it's empty. I'll fix him. I'll make him some of his poop beans. And he's like, we discovered it accidentally.
And you know what? You could put some beaver vanilla in that poop coffee and you really have something to talk about.
But who in the world squeezed the beaver? The first guy that went, and the other guy said, hey, whoa, don't waste that.
Yeah.
I hate to admit this, but I tried to do a little research on maybe try to find out who.
Yeah.
There's nobody offering up no name.
Nobody's out there.
People are long dead. This was, a long time ago discovered, but nobody's offering no credit for that.
No.
Nobody's family wants to be remembered as the one that first. But then again, dude, I mean, you
can apply this to just about everything.
Yeah. Who decided that old cow out there was the first one we're going to go squeeze its nipples and get some milk out of?
Right.
So I mean, but come on.
But there's a difference between milk.
You seen the baby cows?
Anal secretion.
Yeah, you seen the baby cows nursing on there. You didn't ever see nothing nursing on the tail end.
That's funny.
But anyway.
Oh, you said you had a funny drunk story too before we get.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have a roving patrol
Right.
before I do my I guess you call it my longer shift.
Right.
And where the roving patrol is kind of down in the area.
Surrounded by bars.
Bars. There's several bars in that area. Well, it's a east or north and a southbound lane, and it's separated by a medium.
Yeah.
And every once in a while in the medium, there's a little cut through, you know, where you can come through. And every once in a while, there's a cross street. And each cross street has its own little cut through. You kind of has to.
Yeah.
And last night I was coming down the road, and as I'm driving, you know,
say we were on the phone.
Yeah, as I'm driving, and I pay attention because my philosophy, and I've talked to all my children, is everybody on the road is an idiot trying to get me involved in their wreck.
Right.
And I have to treat them all that way.
Yeah.
I'm looking at everybody because they're all idiots.
Especially at night in a bar district.
So I'm coming down. He's coming up the crossroad, and I see he does make the stop sign. And, you know, he's fine. Didn't, like, stop long or whatever, short, nothing. But I'm just, as I pass by, I'm watching him, and he starts coming. And as he comes through the southbound lane, and I'm headed northbound, comes into the northbound lane and does a U-turn in the northbound lane.
Yeah.
But he can't complete it because he's driving like an excursion, I don't know, big, long SUV. He can't complete the U-turn without doing a little three-point thing going there. Well, heck with that, he says. Up and over the curb he goes. You got to be intoxicated in order to make that. I mean,
yeah.
We've both been in a situation where we need to turn around, and we didn't get up on the city medium. And, you know, it's been kind of raining a little bit. I imagine it's kind of soft.
Especially knowing how many cops there are on that road.
But, you know, man, I have witnessed a few things on that road. Just 2 weeks ago, I was coming out of the place that I watch. It's a gated area. But coming out, and I shut the gate. And then once I shut the gate and lock it, then I get back in my vehicle, and I send a text message.
Yeah.
And say that this place I've checked it.
It's secure.
Secure,
good.
Locked up. We're all good. And if there's any changes or anything I need, you know, my boss to know.
No report.
Yeah. And just lets them know that I did check it, and I was there, and now I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And I always send them, you know, and then I'm headed to my next station. So they kind of can keep an eye on me, I guess, digitally.
Right.
But anyway, I'm sitting there, and I'm typing in my text message. And I look over to my left, which is the southbound lane coming at me. And there's a car that is, I don't know, we maybe used to do it when we was kids. You know, you used to surf back and forth on the road. Yeah. And that's what he was doing. And this is at 10:30, almost 11 o'clock at night. So it's dark. And one of them headlights are just crisscrossing across everything. And I thought, what in the world? That's what got my attention, is these lights kept crossing me.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what? And he's driving about 4 or 5 miles an hour. But here's the funny part. Directly across the street from me, I could throw a rock and hit one of 3 police cars that are sitting in this parking lot right there.
Yeah.
Never saw him.
Never
paid no mind. He made it all the way down to the corner, and I seen him pull in the parking lot. And I thought, you know what? He made it there. Hopefully he'll call somebody.
So here's my question. I wonder what time their shift change is. Because if it's bumping up on 11, and let's say their shift change is 11:30 or 12,
they ain't messing with it.
They don't want to do that paperwork and be there another 2 hours.
You know, that's another thing we need to talk about today. Is just our
laziness,
our police force, man. Our police force. And now I don't see this in our little town,
right?
And I don't see this in Wichita. Of course, I don't have a lot of interaction with the police, but I have.
Yeah.
And it seems that our little small town police and sheriffs especially are very knowledgeable on the laws.
Yeah.
And what they're actually allowed to do and not do. And I don't really see them, other than maybe getting lied to about lights, but I don't really see them crossing the line. But I see them so much. You'll see them tell. I watch too many videos. Yeah. And you'll see them tell different citizens that something is a law.
Right.
And it is not.
Yeah.
And they're just bold-faced lying and making it up as they go, or they're completely uneducated. Either one is inexcusable.
Yeah.
Inexcusable.
Yeah, you've told me a lot of them.
And if you don't know your rights, well, you've been taught all your life. Me and you both been taught our life. Even when we was hoodlums, we still had respect for the police.
Right.
And when they said something, you listened. And you, yes, sir, no, sir. Even if you was in the wrong and you was being a hoodlum when they rolled up on you.
Right.
Yeah, I'm caught. Okay, here we go. And you better be respectful. And because it's one thing to be in trouble with the police because we were being little hoodlums. It's a different thing for that policeman to tell our father
Yes.
that we were disrespectful.
Yeah.
That is a whole nother, man, we'd soon been.
And here's the thing. If you're respectful, there's a good chance he's not going to tell Pop.
Well, in our little small town, there was lots of teaching moments for our police.
There was,
and they did. They taught us, and they said, but it was because we entered into that with the tone of respect.
Yeah.
And we weren't this entitled.
And they all knew us.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of us.
Well, Dad sold them all guns.
Yeah.
I mean, that had something to do with it.
Junior year, I want to say, there was a bunch of us. We were went down by Pumpkin Center, we went down, was that Bridgetown?
Yeah.
Yeah, went down to Bridgetown. We were down there by the river.
Yes.
And
good party spot.
3 pickup trucks, all of them had coolers in them. And we're down there. I'm 16, 15. And, it's probably about the median age of the folks that are down there.
Probably when everybody starts going down there, it's about 15 or 16.
And we're down there playing music. Had David Allen Cole blasting out of the speakers, and we're drinking beer. And I'll never forget him. As a deputy sheriff by the name of Jimbo McPherson. You ever meet him?
Probably.
Jimbo was about 6'8" and probably about 400 pounds.
I think I do know who
he was. A monster. But anyways, real cool guy. I liked him a lot. He patrolled this area and he knew all of us kids. Well, he pulls down there and he gets out and we're like, oh crap, hiding the beer beside your leg,
like he's gonna do something. Yeah, like he's an idiot.
And he walks up and he puts his elbows on that truck and he flips open that cooler and he looks in there. Kind of counts, closes the cooler, carries on with us a little bit, talking about, VOAG and all that other stuff. He turns around, he says, all right, boys, I don't want to see any of you on the road tonight. Gets in his patrol car and drives off.
That's the way they treated us when we were kids. That's exactly the way they treated us when we were kids. And if you were respectful, then didn't go driving around, but we didn't. And we policed each other. If you tried to, we wouldn't let you. We would not. We would physically stop you.
Fight you if need be.
If was like saying if one of your friends needed to punch you in the face, well then so be it. You'll be fine in the morning.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's just such a disconnect. The police just they I don't know. It's like our Constitution doesn't matter. It's like the right. It's almost like you're absolutely guilty.
Yeah.
Just because they rolled up on you.
Right.
And you're guilty. I don't break the law.
And you see that a lot in these Democrat-run cities.
Oh, God.
But
it's horrible.
There's something that goes along with that, I think. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm putting things together that don't belong together. But after that hoodlum, George Floyd got killed. And you had the all cops are bastards, and you had the defund the police, and you had the Black Lives Matters. You had police administration telling police officers you're not allowed to interfere while they're setting your car on fire.
Right.
The morale in law enforcement is at an all-time low.
Sure.
And, I was a cop for a lot of years.
And
I wouldn't want to be a cop right now.
But another thing with that is, that there was for a short period of time, there was a huge threat to the police.
Oh, yeah. They were being ambushed and murdered.
We had Dallas police right here close to us that were absolutely ambushed and murdered.
All right, now you're going to get me off on something else. Dallas Cowboys, after that ambush, and I think it was 6 cops were murdered. The Dallas Cowboys wanted to put a little Dallas Police Department sticker on their helmets, and the NFL told them no because it's not a part of the uniform. And it wasn't 2 or 3 months later that they had some other sticker that the NFL did wide,
Yeah, wait a minute.
Organization
they do
wide.
Breast cancer. Yeah. They do a lot of
Susan
things.
B. Coleman and all that stuff. But this one team wanted to honor these 6 officers that were murdered, and they weren't allowed to. But they're allowed to wear pink socks.
They should have done it anyway.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. 100%.
Should have done it anyway.
100%.
Yeah, it's horrible. That's horrible. But like I said, man, we just have such a huge disconnect between our police, and and then a lot of this. There's a huge thing of these people doing these First Amendment audits. I don't know how You can't self-proclaim to be something. I don't know. I don't know. We all have the freedom of press. We all have the freedom to
Freedom of speech.
freedom of speech. We all have
Unlawful search and seizure.
we all have the right to film our officials in the course of their duties.
Yeah.
But you don't have the right to be a complete jerk.
Right.
You just don't. And
Right.
I just, I won't even watch them. I see some of them, and I'm not even watching. You got a guy who's got a cop who's got somebody pulled over, and he's conducting a traffic stop. He's doing his job.
And you're getting out and making pig noises.
And just being as ignorant as you can. And, one I just watched the other night, and he was like, he's coming up to the passenger window of the car he's got pulled over, and the cop said, he super polite, man. He said, excuse me, sir. He said, if you don't mind, could you just back up a little bit? I'm right in the middle of a traffic stop.
Yeah.
Common courtesy. If I was mowing grass, would you go stand in the middle of my grass I was mowing?
Right.
No, you wouldn't. And if you did, I was like, hey, dude, I'm mowing right here. Oh, man, I'm sorry.
Well,
if you had any kind of humanity to you.
And as an ex-cop, let me tell you what was going through that cop's mind. He's got this car pulled over. And by the way, traffic stops are a dangerous situation. That's where a lot of these ambushes happen.
Sure.
I don't know who you are. I don't know if you're with him. And now I've got a carload of people behind me while I'm trying to deal with this situation. That is not a safe, tenable situation.
And I understand that. But then there's these other cops that take it to a whole new level.
Yeah. Well, bad Chevy, we called it.
The Supreme Court has ruled on all this kind of stuff,
right?
And it's like 10 foot is what they're requiring you to be away. That's not far enough.
That's not far enough,
in my opinion. Now I'm not a cop.
There's a 21-foot rule. If you've got a knife, I can't draw my weapon, aim, and fire before you can get to me with that knife.
Right. And
10 foot's nothing.
Nothing. And even my old crippled behind can move across 10 foot pretty quick. But you got these cops that are like, I saw one the other day. It was a husband and wife, and they are cop watchers. That's what they do for a living.
Yeah.
They don't interfere. They just film, and they sell the footage to news organizations.
Right.
They buy it for their B-roll stuff, story coming up on this, and they got this cop, and it's just a scene of a cop pulling somebody over. Well, they had two people pulled over, and it was all the way across the parking lot, a gas station parking lot, pretty good size one. And probably 15 or 20 pumps, a good sized gas station. And they was all the way across that. So the pumps were kind of in the way, but you could see through them. You could see and he got a pretty good zoom on his camera. And you could see what was going on, but they were that far away, all the way across, I'd say 50 yards.
Yeah.
And the traffic stop went on for a while. They were like wrapping it up.
Yeah.
And one of the cops turned around and spotted him. And it was just like it set him on fire. Here he come. He said, you've injected yourself in my investigation.
That's ridiculous.
He said, now I need your ID. And they ended up arresting both of those people. Now the charges were dropped. And
of course.
But it doesn't matter. That cop can ruin your absolute day just because he wants to.
Yeah.
And there's no way that, you can go complain, but you're complaining to a police force that polices their own.
Right.
And they cover up for, I don't know.
We're
going to get a lot of controversy, I get, but some of it seems like it's it's one gang versus the different gangs.
One thing that Texas does a little bit differently in that realm, police departments still have their own internal affairs departments, but if something rises to a certain level, the Rangers step in, and the Rangers are policing the local police.
But it's really got to get
not as much as you would think. Not as much.
I've seen
a lot.
I've seen some cases that are open in Texas right now, dude, that are like being covered up.
Yeah.
There was the Texas Rangers are actually investigating some business going on down in Houston right now, but it's been covered up for years. And there was like people, submitting complaints about these certain cops, excessive force, and just one guy got beat while he was in handcuffs, and they deleted all the body cam. They claimed it was lost. They claimed it was malfunctioning, this, that, and the other. But due to electronic footprints, they have found where they deleted it. They can see what you did.
Right.
And so it just it's just too often. It just happens too often. And the reason is, man, is there's no accountability.
Right.
There's no
on that level. But once the Rangers get involved,
right.
I mean, look at the Clay County sheriff.
There's several instances where there's police officers that did wrong and they're spending time in the prison right now.
That's right. That's right. Well,
but, that's
the former Clay County sheriff. He's got to do 30 days. And he's going to be doing it in Wilbarger County, which is interesting.
30 days for what was his crimes?
Official oppression. If I don't want to get this wrong. I know that one of the things that he was charged with was his deputies had arrested somebody on a Friday, and according to Texas state law, under the whatever it was they were arrested for, that he had 48 hours to get him out of jail, and it was 72 hours. And then he tried to cover some things up, hide some paperwork, and the Rangers got involved, and they brought a case. He had a trial. He was convicted and sentenced to 30 days and lost his license.
And that's good. That's good that the Rangers got involved. It's good that he was exposed. But I just can't help to think that 30 days. Well, if that would have been me or you,
lost his career.
Well, we would have too. Yeah. If that had been me or you, we'd probably ended up with a year or two.
Yeah.
A year, 18 months. And we'd have lost our jobs too because we'd been locked up for a year or two.
Yeah.
So we'd had to kind of start over too. We'd have probably lost our house, maybe lost our wife if we had one, or we'd have been upset with our careers and lives too.
Speaking of which, change the subject, but along the same lines, I got to talk to Shelby the other day.
Oh, fantastic!
Shelby, my daughter Shelby, went down the wrong road. I don't know how much I've shared of this on the podcast.
I don't know if you have.
I don't know.
I don't think you have. I don't think you have.
And there was about 3 years that I didn't hear from her. And whenever I went a spell that I didn't hear from her, I would check the county jail roster where she lives, and 9 times out of 10 I'd find her there. She was with the wrong people doing the wrong things, got strung out, and she disappeared on me, like I said, for about 3 years, and she never showed up in the county roster. So just on a whim, I checked. She's in Kentucky. I checked the Kentucky Department of Corrections, the prison system, and I found her. And she is in the Kentucky Correctional Institute for Women, and I've talked.
She's on a good path, though.
She is. The first day I got to talk to her was on her birthday.
See that?
I actually got to sing my little girl happy birthday.
That's good stuff.
And she calls me once or twice a week, and she called me, and she got involved. She's got accepted into a program. It's a substance abuse program. It's a 6-month program, and upon graduation from that program, that makes her eligible to do some of the other programs they have in the facility. And one of the programs they have is something called Pause for a Cause, where the inmates are assigned a puppy, and they train these dogs.
Pause, as in
pause, yeah.
Pause, okay.
They train these dogs as service dogs.
Now that'd be pretty neat.
Yeah. I'm really proud of her. She's doing really well. She's going to church services. She's doing Bible studies.
That's fantastic, man.
So it's amazing.
That is fantastic.
So let's get into some of this crap that's in the news. I'm gonna start off with full disclosure. I think you probably figured this out by now. If you haven't heard us talk about it, my brother Lloyd and I both are supporters of the former President Donald Trump, unapologetically. As a matter of fact, I got a Trump 2024 flag hanging in my window. I do laser engraving.
Coffee? Is that the one? Is that the same as
no? That's one I made before.
Oh, okay.
And by the way, it says warning: contents include the tears of liberals. But here's my point. I don't care if you're a supporter of Donald Trump or not. We all need to be really upset with what the Colorado Supreme Court is trying to pull.
It's ridiculous, man. It's it started with Florida. I think, my opinion, Florida pulled. There's going to be no Democratic primary. If you want to vote for Democratic president nominee in Florida, you have to.
You only have one choice.
Have to vote for Biden.
Yeah. Yeah, they're
bumbling,
not letting
stumbling
any other challengers from. This is the Democrats doing it to
to
themselves. They're not
themselves.
allowing
Yeah,
any other challengers.
yeah, and there's some Democratic, politicians in Florida that are upset, and they should be. That's what happened to the system.
Right?
I mean,
Yeah. Well, and so here's what, for those of you that may not know, here's what happened in Colorado. A couple of months ago, a lower court attempted to get Donald Trump disqualified for being on the ballot in Colorado
with no due process,
right?
no conviction,
claiming the 14th Amendment, second clause, which says that you have to be at least 35 years old and cannot be somebody who has been involved in an insurgency in order to run for office. And so this court,
in which he hasn't been convicted of, but they didn't.
He hasn't been charged.
I was going to say, didn't even charge him with that.
No. The charge from January 6th is interference with official duties of Congress. There has been, and here's the thing: Jack Smith, the prosecutor, is going after him. Jack Smith would charge him with jaywalking if he thought he could get away with it.
Right.
And if this man who wants Donald Trump to die in prison, and let's just be honest, that's what he's looking for, that's his goal. He wants Donald Trump to die in prison, didn't charge him with insurrection, which tells me there was no evidence.
None.
Otherwise, he would have.
Yeah, because that's a worse crime, and it would have been taken different. It would have been, that's more severe.
Yeah, it's rebellion. And so
but I heard something on this Supreme Court last night that yes, they did give their opinion and did their judge, but they're waiting to put it in place or whatever until they hear back from the Supreme Court.
What they did was they wrote their opinion that upheld the lower court, saying that Donald Trump is not qualified to run for or hold public office in the United States of America. But then there's a subsection in their opinion where they put a stay on their own opinion.
Yeah.
And a stay means that it's not, you can't implement it at this point. And the stay is there until the U.S. Supreme Court hears this case. And if they're overruled, then it won't go into place. And if I think I'm in the right...
What kind of game is that?
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of a prenuptial agreement. You're going into this marriage saying, in the event that it fails, these are the rules.
Right.
You're starting off already looking at failure. They did the same thing, and it's hilarious to me.
It is. Now, they've already admitted.
But now California and Michigan and a couple of other states are all looking at trying to do the same thing.
Well, I also heard that Texas, now once again, you believe what you want to believe. Texas, New Hampshire, which is kind of a huge state. I don't want to lie. A few others. I want to say Arizona. They were talking about maybe removing Biden. So what are we going to get?
And I'm just as irritated.
I am too. What is this? Are we in the 8th grade now?
Yeah,
we're in the 8th grade. Oh, you remove my guy, I can remove your guy.
Right. Well, and I was going to say,
I'm not touching you.
Yeah,
I'm not touching you. I mean,
I was going to say, even if this wasn't happening to Trump and it was happening to Biden, who, by the way, I don't like.
I don't either, and don't think he has. I don't think he's got a brain at all. I think he's mush up there, and I don't think he's capable of leading the country. But if
this were happening to him, I would be just as up.
You ain't kidding, I'd be, because it's still the Constitution of the United States. We're still a free America. This is ridiculous.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
Absolutely. Man. But you look at the just the never-ending witch hunt that's going on. You and I were talking about this the other night. I'm sure I would be absolutely appalled to learn how much Donald Trump has paid in legal fees up to this point.
Oh, dude. And that's part of their plan was to try to absolutely milk
Well, the whole thing up in New York, the civil lawsuit from Letitia James, the whole point of it is she wants him to go bankrupt.
Right.
She wants to shut down his ability to do business in New York City. They're talking about a multi-billion-dollar fine.
Yeah.
For something, by the way, that never happened.
I know everything they've collared at never happened.
Yeah.
Or it's just, I
agree.
Yes. But then the things that actually happened.
Yeah.
Hunter ignoring that subpoena.
Yep. And then
getting on the
and then making a press conference in front of the building where he was supposed to be.
And not only that, we're flying him around. We're paying to fly him around. He was spotted on Marine One, and he wasn't on the manifest, which is kind of required because we're supposed to be transparent, and we're supposed to know who is flying on each one of these government planes because we pay for that.
Yeah.
So we have the right to know. I mean, if you're spending my money, I kind of want to know what you're spending it on.
You know,
and I know that's petty because it is his son, but it's not. It's a rule. It's what you're supposed to do. And if you're
who did the cocaine belong to?
I know. and if you're being transparent, then it's not petty. But if you're hiding, then you're doing crap like this.
But brother, you know, we've said from the very beginning of this podcast, and I've said even before that, I said this starting in 2020. I think we're in Matthew 24. We're in the beginning of the birth pains, the beginning of sorrows. And what the scriptures tell us is that things are going to get weirder and weirder, and I don't see a turnaround.
We're still paying for drag shows on military bases. That's pretty weird. And that colonel set up there 2-3 months ago. He was like, or general, whoever he was, lip service. He's a liar like the rest of them. Sorry, you're the liar just like the rest of them. Well, he set up there and said, well, I never heard about that. I'll get to the bottom of this. We're still doing it today. We're still funding it today.
Well, this latest defense funding bill that went through includes it.
I know.
And we're now paying for it.
We're going to get to the bottom of it. You didn't get to the bottom of nothing. It's just get. And then you. What about that Democratic staffer that made a sex tape?
Oh my goodness!
On the Senate floor.
No. It was in the Senate meeting room.
Okay.
But here's the thing: he booked the room. You didn't know that part?
I didn't know he booked the room.
Yeah.
But he's in there. I don't know.
Making gay porn in the Senate meeting room, and now he's surprised that he's been fired and being investigated. And his response was, "It's none of anyone else's business who I love." No, really not.
Sure ain't. I don't care if you're screwing a goat at home.
But here's the thing: it doesn't matter what kind of sex, what kind of pornography it was that you were producing on Senate grounds.
Yeah, man, you're doing it with the taxpayer's dollar.
It doesn't matter.
That's my building.
Yeah,
those are my lights that are on.
Right.
That's gross, man. Disgusting. I mean. But let's talk about what Mr. Donald did. I mean,
it is the world in which we live, and it is.
And then you got who's John Kirby? Is he a senator or congressman?
No, John Kirby is Admiral Kirby.
Okay.
Is a spokesperson for I want to say the National Intelligence.
Well, I watched him last night
Pentagon.
sit up there and say the guns that we left in Afghanistan. That's false. We didn't leave weapons in Afghanistan. He said, we were giving them to the Afghanis, and then when the Taliban came in, they got scared and dropped their guns and run off. That's how the Taliban ended up with billions of dollars.
And there's some truth to that. That did happen, but
with small arms.
That is ignoring the helicopters and everything else.
With small arms that happened on a very small scale.
And they found some of those weapons now in Gaza.
I know. I just think to say, and that's why he's on the getting his feet put to the fire, because they found this weapons in Gaza that,
man.
But man, we're funding Iran, who's funding Hamas, who's shooting at Israel, that we're funding
Hezbollah,
that we're funding Israel to protect themselves from the same missiles that we're buying and sending to people.
Right.
I don't get it, dude.
We're on both sides.
I don't get it. I mean,
I know. Speaking of which, let's jump into this. Dude, the IDF is just kicking butt.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I'm so impressed with them. Always have been, but I'm so impressed with them right now. And they're doing it right. They're going in, and they are just absolutely systematically shutting down these terror tunnels. Have you heard about the sponge bombs they're using?
No.
Yeah, they've got these.
This ain't some Tom Hanks sticky bomb, is it?
No. This is something that they just recently invented, apparently. And what it is this kind of like foam insulation. It's this super reactive foam that when it's exposed to air, it just becomes dense and fills up spaces. They're throwing these things down into these tunnels, and it's filling, a 10-foot blockage in this tunnel that you can't dig through. And then they're down in the south where they've got access to the sea. They're flooding those tunnels. They've got massive pumps out there, and they're pumping water down into these tunnels. And these Hamas characters are popping out.
That's the way you get rid of rats.
Yeah, and have you seen the videos and the pictures of the vast number of these Hamas fighters that are surrendering?
No.
Yeah, thousands of them are surrendering.
Good.
Yeah.
But you know who else is kicking butt? Is our governor.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They just passed that Texas border security law.
Yep.
That's the silliest law I've ever heard of, Clay.
Here's the thing that amazes me.
It was already illegal.
Joe Biden has come out and said it's inhumane to get him caught up. All right. So Governor Abbott, Greg Abbott, I'm a big fan. They just passed a law that says that Texas law enforcement now has the authority and the right to arrest people that are in the state of Texas illegally.
But
I know. Here's the thing. It's a federal law. It's not a state law. Now it's a state law. And all of these Democrats are coming out screaming and beating their chest talking about how inhumane it is to arrest somebody for having broken a law.
I know. That's the whole thing. I can't believe we had to pass a law in order to give our law enforcement authority to
enforce the law.
Enforce laws.
Isn't that cute?
Falls under ridiculous. Falls under the same guy that squeezed the butthole of the damn beaver.
And licked his fingers.
Yeah, I said, dude, you got to taste this. And then his friend said, okay. Y'all been in the woods too long. That's what y'all's problem is. Y'all been in the woods too long.
The president of Mexico came out against this law. Like it's any of his business.
Well, man, I mean, what are we as citizens supposed to think or do? I mean, we know that there are literally enough people for a standing army.
Oh, a couple of them.
In our
state. Millions.
In our state.
Yeah.
And that's scary, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's scary.
It is.
I've seen videos of these people crossing people's lands and the Border Patrol telling the landowners you can't do nothing about it.
I disagree with that. Texas state law says I've got a castle doctrine.
That's right. And I'm going to protect.
Yeah. And you've seen the video. I mean, that rancher's wife was at home by herself, and illegals are trying to bust in her door.
Yeah. And that's
not acceptable.
But if you were really
invest in precious metals, y'all.
Yes. If you were really fleeing a country that was just horrible and you found yourself in that desperate situation, that's a tough decision. You know, you don't want to break into this woman's house and scare her. But you haven't eaten in days. You've got kids that are hungry, that are thirsty, and that's the only resource. It's a tough spot to be in, dude.
It is.
Tough spot to be in.
But
we've created our lack of laws or our open border policies have created it. That same family comes through legitimately under the right way. This America embraces that family.
Absolutely.
Helps that family.
And we're not against immigration.
We live on, what would you do without it? We would not be a country without immigration.
We are against illegal
anything.
Yeah.
It's the breaking of laws. And if you don't have laws, I've watched this guy interviewing this. He's obviously a liberal. But he said, and they were at like this little kind of a concert thing, I guess.
Yeah.
We have the Lollapalooza things and stuff, and the Texas Jam or
these
whatever.
Festivals.
And it's like a whole day of music and eating away. And they were at one of them. And they were asking this guy, about the border wall, which, by the way, we didn't have, when Trump proposed the border wall, we didn't have $5 billion to put in the border wall, but somehow we found $700 billion to send to Ukraine to secure their borders. But anyway, we couldn't print it when Trump was here, but we could print it when Biden's here. But anyway, they was asking this guy, and he said, well, building a wall is ridiculous. He said, that's like, I don't know. That's some ancient technology. He said, it wouldn't do any good. He said, it's a waste of money. He said, that wouldn't help anything. And the guy was like, he said, we have a good concert. It's fun stuff. He said, do you think this would be a better concert if they take all this fencing down?
Right.
And the guy was like, no, God, no. He said, you wouldn't even have to buy a ticket. They wouldn't make no money.
You can sneak in.
He said, people would just be coming in here the wrong way.
Imagine that.
And he said, hell of a concept, didn't it? The guy turned around and walked off. Because he didn't want to hear the truth. He turned around and walked off. That's their answer.
And I've heard these guys talk, the ones that are against the wall, and they say some of the dumbest stuff. Well, that wall, that physical barrier, all they got to do is put a ladder up against it, or all they got to do is cut a hole in it. That slows them down. Right. They don't get to just walk in.
All I got to do to your front door is kick it in.
Right.
But if let's eliminate that problem. Just everybody go to screen doors.
Yeah, there you go.
That way I can see if there's anything worth stealing before I open up screen doors.
Well, I'm just going to say anybody that kicks in my door is not going to like what they find on the other side.
No. They need to be right with Jesus.
Yeah, because you're about to meet him.
Well, let's go to the lighter note. I heard that 177 names were going to be released off the Epstein list after the 1st of January.
That.
A judge did. But listen to this. This is the funniest part. The judge is allowing, if your name is on the list, you can petition the judge and tell him why you shouldn't be exposed. And they're allowing certain names to be redacted. Are you kidding me?
Of course.
That's kind of funny.
And I'm sure it all has to do with the number of zeros in your bank account.
Oh, yeah. What you can do.
What can you do
for me?
Yeah.
What can one hand scratches or washes the other?
So 177 names, that's a lot of names. But that's not all the names.
No.
You got to wonder how many names there are in total.
I want to know why it's okay just to release 177. Most of those are witnesses and victims.
Oh.
Most of those names are witnesses and victims.
Interesting.
Or maybe people that already are dead, or people that don't have much money or power no more.
Right.
Or it's going to be very telling when they release these names. And I'd like to really see the list and see how much redacted blackout you see on that list.
I've also
it's going to look like something from the FBI.
I've also heard that the Clintons are a little upset about that ruling.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's just funny to me. I'm sorry.
Do you know the painting that Epstein had?
Yeah. Bill Clinton wearing Monica Lewinsky's blue dress.
And high heels.
That's hilarious.
Clay?
If you haven't seen that, look it up.
Look that's for real.
Bill Clinton
I didn't think that was real.
Painting.
I had seen that on a couple of those videos.
And it was hanging up in the mansion on the island.
Yeah, on the island. And I didn't think that was real. I thought that was made up.
It's disturbing.
I thought that was made up. I thought there's no way that a president is going to allow that.
Well, how do you stop it?
I don't know, but
Epstein commissioned an artist, gave him a picture of Bill Clinton, said, "This is what I want."
Or Bill Clinton posed.
It's even worse. Dude.
I know.
No.
Or, dude, I don't know, man. I don't know. If you was as powerful as a president, you could do something about it. Unless that fella had something on you.
Videotapes. Lots and lots and lots of videotapes.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, where are they?
I know. I know.
You said a lighter note.
The whole mess. It was a lighter note.
Yeah.
I was laughing at the fact that these guys can get to redact their names.
Right.
It's just hilarious to me, man. Okay, here we go.
All right.
We're talking about equity, not equity, equality.
Okay.
The females workforce in Iceland decided one day to all go on strike together. It was over 100,000. The jokes just rolled from that. They said it's the first time we never got anything done. It was just, but really and truly, they said that the economy didn't suffer at all. There was no noticeable difference.
That's a shame.
That's a shame.
Oh, that's funny. That's a shame.
That's a shame. That's a shame. And see what else we got. Our first graduating class of illegal immigrant police are set to graduate in California.
Oh my gosh, that is
disturbing. You broke the law to get here, so I'm going to give you a gun and badge to police the citizens that live here.
Right.
And make. Oh, I just don't understand, dude.
It's not to understand.
I just,
You know what? Though I'm going to say something. Let me jump in here. There is some encouragement out there. Have you seen some of the polls involving Democrats
oh, let me get to the bottom of my list.
that are
Here we go.
rebelling against some of this woke crap?
Democrats are leaving the Democrat Party in record numbers.
Yeah.
A group of African American Democrats were protesting in Chicago today. That was been yesterday.
Right.
Or yesterday. My days all get mixed up. But anyway, they were saying that they're going to, if they think they're going to have a peaceful Democrat convention in Chicago, the guy said, stay tuned. And it was a huge group of African American Democratic voters that said enough. And it's mainly over this immigration. These people are starving in the streets.
Immigration and the economy.
Well,
they're two big things.
Right. And they're starving in the streets. And all of a sudden these immigrants, and the guy said, he said, I'm not against immigrants. I'm not against helping people. He said, but they don't pay taxes. They never pay taxes. Right. They haven't put in anything in the city. He said, and our services are cut. The citizens that live here,
to accommodate
our services cut to accommodate them. He said, enough's enough. He said, if you think you're having a peaceful Democratic convention here, stay tuned.
There's another.
He said, we will not support the Democratic Party. Dude,
there's another demographic
that's huge.
Rebelling. There was a poll that came out, and it was Gen Zers. Gen Zers are getting fed up with the wokeness. They're getting fed up. There's a bunch of videos that are coming out on like TikTok and some of those things where these young girls are talking about how they've been lied to, and being a girl boss does not make me happy. What would make me happy would be to find a man who would love me and give me a home. Yeah, imagine that.
Family.
And there's these young people that are just coming out flat out saying, you know what, I'll hold my nose and vote for Donald Trump because gas was under $2 when he was in. And
well, there's another huge group that is a pretty powerful group in this, and whether you agree with them or don't agree with them, it really doesn't matter because we live in America.
Yeah.
Is the Muslim group.
Yeah.
And they're not only great numbers, but if you look at the Muslim population, they're professionals. They make good money. And that guy stood up. They had an interview with a bunch of them last night. I watched. And he stood there. He said, not only do we have the money to back the candidates that we want, he said, but we have the votes too. And he said, this wokeness and this crazy ideology that the
gay pride and all that stuff. Yeah.
He said, we've had enough. We've had enough. And there's a huge numbers of different groups just leaving the Democratic Party.
Right.
But
here's the thing though. I don't think it matters.
I don't either. I don't think the integrity.
The Democrats are willing to cheat.
They're willing to do anything. No matter what. Proven. You're a wild animal caught in a corner.
Yeah.
You're about to be exposed. Somebody's going to turn the light on.
If they lose power, it's all coming out. Maybe.
Yeah.
Still got the deep state to contend with.
Right. But if you get somebody like Donald Trump or Donald Trump in office as the president, he's exposing a ton.
Yeah.
And that ton is scared. And they will do anything not to get caught. Anything, no matter what it is.
Yeah, agreed.
No matter what it is. To include, Tucker Carlson covered this. To include a possible assassination attempt on Trump.
Yeah, well,
they cannot be, that. Or even, I watched a guy last night say, what if Biden or the administration declares some kind of national emergency or martial law? Can they take our firearms? And, somebody said, well, no, they can't do that. We got the Second Amendment. Yeah, well, let's look at New Orleans during the hurricane.
Right. Well, let's look at all the things that they can't do, and they did.
Yeah, let's look at Houston during that hurricane. They were moving people's guns then, too. It's just about...
It's going to be a really bad day if that happens.
It's about the number of people that have to stand up.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we the people.
Yeah.
That's what we have to lean on is we the people.
Here's the problem.
But when is enough enough?
Well, a lot of people aren't willing to make that stand because it requires a sacrifice, and in some cases, a significant sacrifice.
Yeah.
It may cost you your livelihood. It may cost you your job. It may cost you your home. It may cost you everything.
It may cost you your life
because they will come at you with every resource they have. The FBI, the DOJ.
That's another thing I want to talk about too, man. Is that, but. I don't know. We may not have time.
Yeah, we're running shy on time.
Well, we don't want.
Save your list. We'll be back
All right.
next week.
All right. Well, I do want to bring up this one thing, though, man, because it's pretty fresh. Is that the mayor of Boston, Michelle Wu?
Goodness. Yeah. The electeds of color Christmas party.
Not just that, she's gone another step.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she and this one's.
She's married to a white man.
No.
Yeah.
Wow. This one's huge, in my opinion. It's huge. I'm used to be a contractor.
Yeah.
And we used to try to go after, when I worked for ABC, our main goals were state and federal contracts.
Sure, because they're going to pay.
They're going to pay, and they pay a scale. It's good money.
Yeah.
You're not having to cheat, cut corners, and it's good business to have them state and federal contracts. Well, this is a state contract. She sent out a request for bids, and this is in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody don't know? They get a lot of snow in Boston.
Yep.
They sent out for bids for snow blower in Boston to remove snow from the Boston streets, and help the Boston snow blowing people, whatever they are. Their Department of Road Department.
Yeah.
The only little catch, though,
no whites need apply.
That's right.
Yeah.
You had to be a white. I mean, you had to be a woman or of some
minority
ethnic,
of some kind.
A minority of some kind. And it was hilarious. I watched a woman, y'all just Google anything about the Boston mayor and the snow blowing.
Yeah. And
this woman would come up, she called in and she said, I think it's fantastic. She said, I own a snow blowing company. And she said, it's fantastic, that we're having an opportunity for, maybe somebody that can't maybe get it done or whatever, the minority group or the women-owned group.
Right.
She said, my question, though, is, when are we going to have an event for it? It's just, the white only, where it's just white men get to bid on that. When are we going to have them? Because I'd like to advance them too. Maybe to give them a leg up in this. And the guy started laughing. He said, ma'am, you have absolutely put a smile on my face. And he knew he couldn't say much because he was the guy that answered the phone. But he did giggle about it. Yeah. But, I mean, what would happen? If you did that, if you were the mayor of Burke-Burnett, and you put out this call for a bid, which happens, I've been to these bids, and the city says, hey, we want this done, and then they put out a notice to the companies that do a lot of that work, and it's public information that we're accepting bids on this job, and at the bottom you said you must be white to apply, or to bid.
Oh, the whole world would be up in arms.
As they should be. Should be.
But here's the thing. It all comes down to this whole DEI and equity and all of that stuff. And what they teach is the only way to advance these marginalized groups, women and people of color, however you want to put it, is to openly discriminate against those who have been in power before, which is, i.e., straight white men.
Yeah.
And if you're Christian, that makes it even worse.
Even worse, yeah.
So I'm going to take a real severe departure before we close, because I'm going to do some bragging on my church and folks.
All right.
Christmas is 4 days away, and my church always treats me so good, and there's others too. Y'all know that if you've been watching us, I'm a carnivore. I only eat meat. That's what I eat meat and animal products, eggs, cheese, and meat. That's about my entire diet. In my full-time job, I work as a private investigator, and we've got a lot of clients that we've worked for. And one of our clients just surprised me. She ordered from a local Texas ranch. They do the cold boxes where they send meat out.
Yeah.
2 of these beef tenderloins that are smoked in cracked black pepper. They're ready to eat.
Yeah.
All you got to do is thaw it out. Let it come to room temperature and chaw on it.
I was going to say that makes some lunch meat.
Oh, brother, that was some good stuff.
Makes some good sandwiches.
Oh, that's some good stuff.
Oh, cut it thin and maybe throw it on a skillet for a half a second.
Oh, you don't even have to do
that. No, just to get it warm and lay that bed of onion down.
Oh, man.
Oh, I ain't ate all night.
So you're outside of my diet.
I don't even care.
Then last Sunday, my church presented me with a sizable, I'm not going to get into specifics, but a sizable gift card for Butcher's Meats in Wichita Falls.
And Butcher's Meats got some good meat.
Some good
I
stuff.
Really like Butcher. Shout out to Butcher's Meat in Wichita Falls.
They
have the best. They make their own bratwurst.
Yeah.
And oh my God.
Oh, I got a pile of it.
Every time you get it, I try to get something different, and I haven't found one yet I don't like.
Yeah. And one of the things about Butcher's Meats, if you're local and you haven't gone there, you need to. Number one, their prices are not bad.
They're comparable to United.
And they source all their meat locally. This isn't, this didn't come from Brazil on a box truck.
Yeah,
it's all local beef.
There's a whole other conspiracy talk about that.
Right.
Do you know what? Most of our meat doesn't come from the United States.
Oh, I know. We export, and then we import.
But it says
makes no sense.
It says a product of the U.S.
Yeah.
But do you know what it takes to be a product of the U.S.?
It had to be processed in the United States.
Any process.
Yeah.
I can take it out of here and put it in a box.
Yeah.
Now I can stamp it.
Right.
I can rewrap it.
Yeah.
Now I can stamp it.
Yeah.
I can take a big pack, make 2 little packs. Now it's mine. It's such deception.
Oh, absolutely.
Everything, such deception.
So I'm set up for about a year on fresh meat from Butcher's Meat.
You'll be all right, yeah.
And then there's this this group of folks in our church. They started coming. They started coming to our jamborees every third Saturday. We have a jamboree where local musicians come together, and it's a good time. I don't get a chance to make it very often just because of my work, but they started coming to that. Well, then they started coming to Wednesday evenings, and it's kind of funny how this worked. We're studying Revelation on Wednesday evenings. It hadn't been since I've been sick, but we're getting back to it. And then, speaking of which, Steve Sparks covered for me last night, did a great job. But anyway, then they started coming on Sundays, and then they joined the church. Well, they have given me gift cards to Texas Roadhouse. I've got a pile of gift cards, again, significant value of Texas Roadhouse, and I'm so appreciative.
Oh yeah,
between my church and my job and my family. God is just good.
I just say God is, man.
Absolutely.
When He has you, when you're in that will of God, when He has you just wrapped up, you know it. You just know it.
So I am not meat poor.
No.
Haven't gotten a deer yet, but I'm not meat poor.
But you did get some deer meat.
I did get some deer meat, and that was good stuff too.
Thank you, Johnny Zellner. You are a champ.
Well, I think I survived through this podcast. I still got some air in my lungs. I'm not getting dizzy, so that's a good thing. And I missed you guys tremendously.
I miss doing it.
This.
I miss doing it. The reason I miss doing it is because I just can't stand seeing you sick like that.
Right?
Boy, it bothers me.
Well,
and there ain't nothing I can do to help you either.
It's getting better. It's getting better.
I thought about coming over and kicking you a while, but I didn't think that would help.
Right?
Either one of us.
Yeah, really. Yeah, your kicking days are not
limited,
as fresh as they were.
I'm down to a certain number of kicks left, and I don't want to waste none.
And they're all low kicks.
Yeah, I don't want to waste none of them. I got to save them.
We are Lord willing back on track. We'll be doing this every Thursday, and until something else happens.
There you go.
But as always, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. I want to remind everybody. Look, I know we 40 some odd days into it now. That doesn't mean we get to let up. We still need to pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
Yes.
We need to pray for the nation Israel. We need to show our support for these folks. We need to
ask God just to
be obedient.
Soften the hearts of these people.
Yeah.
Just soften the hearts.
My biggest prayer is that the gospel would just sweep across that entire nation, both sides, all 3 sides of the border, Hezbollah, Hamas,
just lay the guns
Israel.
down
and
and praise the Lord.
Yeah.
One of them angels show up.
Yeah.
One of them, and then a whole host of them.
Well, and
that changed some minds.
If you study Revelation, that's going to happen.
Well, that one is running around the sky singing. That's going to be wild.
That's going to happen.
Yes.
It doesn't happen until after the rapture.
Yeah, that's going to be. I can't even imagine that. I don't care what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Or what you've been thinking all your life.
It's got to have an effect.
Angel is up there running around the sky.
But you know,
singing.
What's heartbreaking about all of those different events that take place, they all end with a statement, and they did not repent.
Yeah, I know. You continue to see it on and on and on through the whole book so far.
Yeah.
That it's just thick-headed, I guess.
I agree.
Well, it's just like our people today, man, the world today. They don't want to see the truth. And if you show them the truth, they scream, they holler, they call you names, anything but to see the actual truth.
But you know what? I don't care. You can call me whatever names you want to. I'm going to be obedient.
Me too.
You know, the next prophetic event in the calendar is the rapture of the church. And I'm not trying to get all theological or anything, but here's the deal. If you've trusted in the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ, that trumpet will sound to the shout, the voice of an archangel. The dead in Christ will rise first, and we who are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds. Thus we will be with the Lord always. Therefore, comfort one another with these words. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. But the key to that is those who've trusted in the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ.
That's
and I will tell
you got to accept that gospel.
Time is running short.
No doubt.
I believe that. I do too. Every fiber of my being. And so if you're watching us,
what did you say last week or the last time we did this? You're no longer
no longer looking for signs, listening for the trumpet.
You just listening for the trumpet. Then you also said that if was it Adrian Rogers?
That was Adrian Rogers said that.
And said another one that if you had faith that you wouldn't use cruise control.
Yeah. He said if you truly believe in the imminent rapture of the church, you'd quit using your cruise control.
Yeah.
Well, folks, if you haven't trusted in the gospel, now's the time. It's that simple. This is not strictly a religious or theological program, but man, it's part of who we are. And Christ died for your sins according to scriptures. He was buried, and 3 days later he rose again. If you trust and believe in that, then you're a child of God.
You're saved.
And
you're saved. And the ugliness that's going to happen in the back part of that book, we won't be a part of.
Lord willing, next Wednesday, all things go well, we'll be getting back into that study.
If y'all haven't tuned into that, that's a tremendously good study. You can search on Facebook, Red River Cowboy Church, Burkburnett, Texas. And it's real well done. The website, if you click onto them, you got all the videos listed with the dates. You can easily tell which one's Wednesday, which one's Sunday. They're in order. They're not going to bounce around.
This study started, I want to say it was May 4th, May 8th, somewhere around that ballpark.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, guys, God bless you all. Be willing to stand up. Stand up for what's right.
If you don't stand for something, you fall forever.
That's right. Brother, I'm sick of death to get to do this again.
Me too. I love you too, brother.
Salvation's waiting there. You build a mighty fortress.